What's up, guys? It's Garage Goons, and I've done a lot of reviews. I review fight gear. I review colognes. I've reviewed boots. Shit, I've reviewed a whole bunch of stuff. And this is never going to be a tech channel, but I can't help it. There's something within me that's a contrarian. Like, I'm natural contrarian. Like, I naturally want to always zag when everyone else is zigging or go left when everyone else is going right. So part of that was, uh, you know, in just to give you context, I'm 35, and so I saw in like a 5-year span, but it feels like it went like that. People having like Razor flip phones, which if you don't know what the Razor is, it's like the most iconic flip phone ever, in my opinion. I might be biased because I was born in '89, so I'm a millennial. But I saw literally phones go from dumb phones where my mom's phone had like a antenna you had to pull up, and then you could flip it out, and then they didn't even have texting on it at first, but when they did have texting, you had to push a button like 4 times to get a certain letter. They had ABC texting. I'm not going to get in the weeds with it, but I've seen that all the way from my senior year in high school to where the rich kids had smartphones, and I graduated in '08, and the rest of us scrubs had LG Rumors and chocolates and all these like sidekicks and shit like that were like cool phones, but they weren't smart at all. But then fast forward, 2 years after that, and basically everybody on the planet has a smartphone, and the smartphones to choose at that time in 2012-ish, there was a lot of choices and there was a lot less like judgment. Like today, if you don't have an iPhone in the US, people do treat you in a certain way. The older you get, the less people give a fuck. But like younger kids, if you have something that's giving you a green bubble, they're going to clown you. They're going to make fun of you. They're going to say, oh, you're poor. Oh, you're this. Oh, you're that. And, but anyways, everyone started getting iPhones, and I said, fuck iPhone. I ended up going with Samsung. So I've always been an Android guy. I started out, I think my first smartphone might have been a Samsung. I think it was a Samsung Sidekick, which was like the most garbage phone all time. It froze, it crashed all the time. The integration with the slide out keyboard, which nobody uses anymore, and I thought I wanted a slide out keyboard because touch screens suck, you know what I mean? But whatever. So I did that, and then I eventually switched over to HTC, and that was one of the coolest phones I've ever had. The HTC One had Dre Beats on it before Dre Beats was sold to Apple, and it sounded better than a lot of phones, and it was cool, it was small, it was fun to hold, but it had a good screen. And now all the way fast forward to today. So I just switched from my S22, my Galaxy S22 Plus, to what I'm filming on right now, which is my Galaxy S25, which is why I don't have it on screen. It is what it is. I don't know what to tell you, okay? I don't have it in front of me. But this is a normal fucking guy, okay, that's giving thoughts and that's telling you what I care about in phones and how I feel about it, right? What my thoughts are on it. I know a lot of you guys that watch phone reviews, you've probably already seen MKBHD, maybe you watch Super Sap, maybe you watch Mr. Who's the Boss, maybe you watch Later Lou, whoever you watch, and you're like sick of the same guys, the same like 4 or 5 guys saying the same 4 or 5 things where it's like new chip, slightly better cameras, the charging marginally better, and the design is basically the fucking same, right? So I went from an S22, which is the, if you Google it online, and I'll show you the case for it so you can get an idea, but it wasn't the individual circular camera modules like they have for the past 3 generations. 23, 24, and 25 all have the circle cutouts. They basically look the exact fucking same. So, but the old ones had like this camera bump, and it was called like the Samsung like leaf cutout or something like that. And it was this one. This was the one I had on my S22 Plus, okay? and there was actually a square chunk that kind of like stuck out right here. And it was kind of cool because it showed off the color of your phone. The new one, here's my new case. Both of these are Ring Key cases, by the way. That's my favorite company for phone cases. I just think they make the best cases for the least amount of money if you're into slim cases. Okay, this is not an OtterBox or Life Proof or one of those chunky UAG ones. This is like super slim. It's not going to add a whole bunch of just chunk to your phone that you don't want in your pocket, right? But regardless, you can see the design difference, right? There's a camera right here, there's a camera right there, and there's a camera right there on the S25 Plus. And on this one, it's a camera bump, and then you have the 3 cameras set up. So let me get into it. Just so you know, this is, again, being filmed on the S25 Plus. All my other videos, besides my last one, which was my spray off video, have been filmed on my S22 Plus. Filming wise, I gotta be honest, I don't see much of a difference. Now camera wise, I will say that the night shots look way better, not way better, look better, significantly better I would say on the S25 Plus that I'm filming on right now. The ultra wide is better, but the primary camera for shooting as well as for recording, to me, even the last one, I think it gathered more light, or it brightened it up naturally. I think this one is trying to give you a more natural light. The other one made everything a little bit brighter, but I kind of liked that because my garage is kind of dingy and whatever. My light's not the greatest, but regardless, whatever you think of this one versus my old videos, go watch like a video from 2 months ago. That's S22 Plus. This is S25 Plus. Let's get into it. Okay, my main gripe with Samsung is their phones haven't changed at all. And I understand that when you have a brand that works, you don't want to like keep it simple, stupid. I get it. You've made a design that's functional, that works, right? And so you don't want to veer from that, and you want people to know when they see, oh, that's a Samsung. Okay, I get that, right? But here's where my thing is. Every year, every phone is giving us a slightly better camera, better charging, and they make small changes on their exterior, right? And I think that this is a classic sign of the old saying where it's like you either die a hero or live long enough to become a villain. And I think Samsung is becoming the villain. I mean, if you think back 10 years ago, Samsung was clowning iPhone for getting rid of chargers in the box. Now, Samsung doesn't have chargers in the box. And to me, and that's old news. Like, they've been excluding their chargers, right? But what I will say is this. Overall, I feel like I needed the upgrade because I was basically, my old phone was 126 gigs of total storage. So I'd film a video, I'd have to upload it to YouTube and immediately delete it because my phone would get maxed out and I'd have to pay Google for extra storage, all this dumb shit that I didn't want to deal with, right? And this one, I got, I traded in my old S22 and they told me it was the last week. They lied, by the way. They said, this is the last day we're offering $400 for your old device. I went again and checked online. They're still offering $400 for my S22 Plus in good condition, all right? So I traded in through Samsung's website. I got $400 off and I financed it interest-free for a year, and I'm making around like $100 a month. It's not $100 a month. It's like $50 a month for a year payments on it. Okay? So the moral of the story is, like, I needed it because it had more storage. It just made sense to get it. The other thing with my S22 is the battery on it. It was getting easier and easier to kill it every day. And here's what a day looks like in me, like for me in a work day. I work in a school district. Even though I'm familiar with all the schools, it's in the valley, and there's a million ways to get to all these schools. So I'm constantly using Google Maps because I want to get there as fast as I can, get out of there as fast as I can, in and out, John Wick, get in there, get it done, get out, right? So I use a lot of, I probably use GPS maybe an hour a day. And that's pretty taxing on the phone. And then probably another, I don't know, 30 minutes to an hour a day I'm playing Call of Duty Mobile on my phone. Okay? And I don't overnight charge, okay? I charge when I get home from work, and I usually juice it up, and then I charge while I'm eating dinner because my wife and I don't have cell phones out during dinner time. So I usually wake up every morning with my phone between like 60 and 80%, and then I car charge it on the way to work. So I have the weirdest charging habits. I just don't like the idea of my phone cooking on the wire overnight, hitting 100, and then it's still charging. I just hate that. I like to top it off and take the charger right out once it's at 100. Okay? I'm just weird about stuff, and I want to save the battery life. So on my old phone, I was getting like 4 hours of screen on time. Now, again, I think I would be considered a power user, even though I'm not like a gamer, because I'm using a lot of demand with Google Maps and Call of Duty, right? So my phone was dying a lot, or getting close to dying a lot, and it was dying at the least opportune times. Like when someone else was driving, I didn't have my car charger, I forgot to bring my charger, I had a shitty charger that wasn't working very well, or was only like a 10-watt charger, whatever the case may be. So it was time because the battery sucked on it, and it would get hot. That phone would get blazing hot. If I was like going from, I remember I drove from my house to Inglewood to see the Chargers play, and it took me about an hour to get there. And like literally, I could barely hold the phone through the case because of how hot it was. The physical glass on it, the glass was hot. So the screen itself was so hot, I couldn't really use it. I had to like set it down in the cab for a while I was tailgating. And I was like, you know what? It's time to get another phone. And I was looking at all these other phones online, and Samsung kind of got me with their trade-in deal, which was really good. $400 for a phone that's 4 years old at this point, right? Or 3 years old, okay? 3 generations back. And on top of that, let's see, 24, 23, 22. Yeah, 3 generations back. And on top of that, it was dying. And on top of that, it was on me that I just got a phone that didn't have enough storage because it was like the best deal at the time. So I traded it in. I expect everybody that I saw on YouTube was saying, the S25, like if you come from an S22 or earlier, it's going to feel like a major upgrade. I'm going to let you know right now, what you think of when you think of cell phone upgrades, I think most people just think of cameras, but cameras have been so good for so long. To like my naked eye, I've done filming on this, I've taken pictures on this. I'm sure if I had both phones side by side, I could tell a small difference. But like my S22 was fine. Everybody was still like, even my wife who has an iPhone would be like, hey, let's take pictures with your camera because like it's just really crisp and HDR-y and gets all the details in there. It was a really good phone and took in sunlight really well. It performed. I don't know what else to say. But the camera was like a very modest upgrade. I will say though, that I have tried to push this phone intentionally, okay? And I've never felt it get hot. I felt it get a little warm once, and that's it. One time it got warm. The battery technology on this one, now granted it is new, but even with the S22 right out of the box, I noticed like a month in, I was like, okay, this thing gets a little hot when I have it doing a lot of stuff. And if it gets hot, it dies faster. That's just something I noticed about it. If I keep it cool, it'll last, no problem. But if I have to do GPS and then I have to shoot emails and then I'm on my lunch break and I'm playing Call of Duty or whatever, it'll get hot and I could kill it pretty easily. If I don't have a charger at all, like I can't leave the house for 8 hours for my 8-hour workday, or 9 hours really realistically for the time I'm away from my house. If I forget a charger or don't car charge it, it's gone. It's fucking dusted. It's dead. It's cooked. So this one, the real upgrade with the S25 Plus is in the battery and the processing chip. Now, let's talk about the processing chip. The new one is the Snapdragon 8 Elite. In the S22 Plus, which I just came from, was the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, the first one they came out with. Okay? So the Gen 1 Snapdragon was cool. It worked for Call of Duty. Unless it got real hot, I very rarely experienced lag if I had good Wi-Fi. But it would jitter. It would jitter from time to time when it started getting hot. I would start noticing like the frames would skip and stuff like that. That happens not at all on this one. Another thing that I've noticed on this one, based off its processing power, is on my old S22. Bro, unless I was on like the most killer Wi-Fi, I could not watch most YouTube videos on 1080p. If I watch anything on that phone on YouTube on 1080p, it would stop, and it would buffer. And then I would have to wait, and then I would pause it or rewind it, and then have to watch it, and hopefully it loaded past that point where it stopped before. This thing powers through watching shit on 1080p. In fact, I can watch most stuff on this thing on max resolution, and it fucking gets through it. And it's not a Wi-Fi issue, it's a processing issue, because I have good Wi-Fi. I have the same Wi-Fi I had on the S22 in this house. Okay, I have Orbi Wi-Fi mesh network here, and I have 3 satellites in my house, and the main router. So I have good Wi-Fi. That being said, it's, how do I put it? Yeah, it just processes videos better. So it's smoother with the videos. It's way better with the battery life. Right now, I'm getting about like 8 hours of screen on time. My old phone was half that, if that. Now, obviously, I had that phone for like around 3 years, maybe 3 years. And so there was some natural battery degradation, but you expect a battery to at least last you like 4 or 5 years. You know, it shouldn't be completely shit after 3 years, which I'm going to be honest, that battery sucked. But I just wish that Samsung, like, I expected this thing to be blowing my mind camera-wise and blowing my mind with, I don't know what I expected, but I just thought it would be so much better. But I think part of it is that the phones are getting so good. And the other part of it is Samsung is not trying anymore. I really don't think so. I think the formula they're happy with, and most people are happy with, is, hey, just like iPhone, we're giving you better cameras, we're giving you the latest Qualcomm processor, and we're giving you, maybe different color options. And that's about it. You know what I mean? Like, and the newest Gorilla Glass, if you care about what the screen is made out of. Okay, but a couple things I think that Samsung is lagging on, that their competition, if they get lazy like this, it's not like iPhone where they live in this, like, on this island where there's no competition. They're Android at the end of the day, right? So if you like One UI and you're in the Samsung ecosystem, that's one thing. But if all you have is a Samsung phone because you're familiar with it, there's some really other good options from it. And one of the phones I had in the past, and companies I've used in the past, that I think is always trying new stuff and like doing shit that just makes sense and not cutting corners, is like OnePlus. If you look at the new OnePlus 13, right, that's come out, it's the same size as this phone, and it has really good cameras as well. They throw a case in the box. They throw an 80-watt charger in the box, 80 watts. This Samsung phone is still 45-watt charging, okay? And they call it fast charging. And OnePlus back in 2019 was already giving you 65-watt fast charging back then. And also they have smart things, like they have the alert slider, right? Why, Samsung, why don't you put an alert slider on the phone? That just makes sense to me. And if you don't know what an alert slider is, basically it's a little switch that has 3 positions on the side of your phone. You slide it up and down. So if you're in the movie theater and you forget, and that sign comes up like, hey guys, please silence your phone, you can slide it all the way down, it's on silent. You could put it in the middle, it's on vibrate, or when the movie's off, you could put it all the way back up and it's on ring again. So I think shit like that just makes sense. You know what I mean? And also, going back to OnePlus, for 4 years straight in their flagship phone, like not their Ultra phone, but their flagship phones, they've been putting 2K displays in there. Samsung with the Plus has been giving you 1080p displays forever. This year, they just stepped it up to like 1440p or some shit like that. So it's some weird middle ground where it's like 1080, or where it's above 1080, but it's not 2K, right? So at least like, and a lot of people say, well, you can't really notice the difference between 1080 and 2K display on a phone. I'm gonna let you know right now, I've had two phones next to each other. It was my new it was my OnePlus 8 Pro, which had 2K display, and this was 4 years ago. And then right when I upgraded to my Samsung, I was looking at them side by side. The Samsung didn't look as good. And yeah, I don't know why they don't just put 2K displays. Samsung makes the displays for these bitches. They're the ones that are producing all the displays. So why not put a 2K display? I'm not even asking for 4K like those crazy Sony phones. I'm asking for 2K display. And I'm asking for things that make sense, like an alert slider. And maybe throw a fucking charger in the box, because I think Samsung right now has gotten so arrogant with their silver medal that they get from iPhone every year in the States and in the West and large. Like, you either, people say, oh, do you have a Samsung or do you have an iPhone? A lot of times, because usually it's like one or the other, right? So they're happy with their second place trophy, but there's other brands that are not lazy. Like another one, like my mom just got a Pixel. That thing's fucking amazing. The camera on there is every bit as good as mine. And she has the basic Pixel. She has the new Pixel that came out this year in 2025, but it's like late 2024. But it's it's not the XL or whatever the big Pixel is. It's the mid-range one, and her camera's bitching, dude. That thing shoots just as well as anything mine does, and mine is at S25 plus, right? And hers is like the equivalent of like just the regular S25, right? But of Google. And the Pixel makes a fucking bitching camera, and they're always changing things. They're always doing things to improve. They're always looking at what people are saying, you know? Is the visor cool? Oh, this one has a like a hard line in it. So on top of the visor, it collects dust. So they smoothed it over. And oh, this, this Pixel had problems with charging or whatever the fuck, and then they go and fix it, but it kind of just feels like Samsung, they make a great looking phone and it works really well, and it is, for all intents and purposes, a really fantastic phone and one of the best phones money can buy. But what I feel like is happening now is other Android brands that are not necessarily with carriers, and that's another big thing, because OnePlus you can't just upgrade to a OnePlus if you have like a major carrier, because they don't have deals with carriers right now. But so it's basically Motorola, OnePlus, iPhone, and Samsung, and that's basically it for most carriers, all right? And then some weird ones that they throw in there, but OnePlus is not part of it. But if you're looking for a new phone, I think the next phone I'm going to upgrade to, honestly, is going to be something from OnePlus. If they keep doing what they're doing and Samsung keeps doing what they're doing, why would I not go with the phone that the cameras are almost as good, if not right there, right? Because I can barely tell the difference between this camera and the camera from 3 years ago. And I've seen all the YouTubes on fucking Ultra versus OnePlus 13. They're not even comparing the Plus to the OnePlus 13. They're comparing the Ultra to the OnePlus 13. And the cameras are going toe-to-toe. Like, Samsung edges them out in most, like, weird scenarios with harsh lighting or super darkness. But, like, for everyday good lighting shots, you can't tell the difference. And it's like, it varies. Sometimes the OnePlus gets it right. Sometimes the Samsung gets it right. You know what I mean? So, and they're throwing the charger in the box. And they're giving you 2K displays. And they're charging their phones at fucking 80 watts now. And on top of all of that, you're getting way more bang for your buck if you don't consider the trade-in factor. Now that they got me with the trade-in. But even with the alert slider, they just do shit that makes sense. Samsung, I feel like, found out their form design, and even if they could add something to say, haha, iPhone, look what we have. We have an alert slider now. You guys put in that stupid action button that nobody likes instead of your alert slider that everyone used to like on the iPhone. look what we have. We have an alert slider now. They're not doing it because they're just like, okay, we have the formula. We don't need to be, we don't need to change anything else. In fact, we can sneakily take little things away if we want to. Like the Ultra phones, the new S Pens, you can't take pictures with them because they don't have Bluetooth on them anymore. They're like, well, you didn't use it, so I know one of the homies I have has a Galaxy S20 tablet Ultra, whatever the fuck, and he takes pictures with his pen all the time. It's fucking cool. Even if you don't use it, it's a cool party trick that you can absolutely show people. Like, hey, look, I don't need to buy like this really expensive like thing that I have to download an app for and fucking tell it to take a picture with this little remote. I have this pen that comes in my phone, and when I'm done using it, I can put it back in my phone, and it's right there. It has a place all the time. I don't know if this is a rant or what at this point, but I will leave you with this. Samsung is really fucking good. But from a normal guy's perspective, a guy that uses Google Maps, email, Instagram, Facebook, Call of Duty, text, phone calls, and YouTube. If that sounds like you, I don't think that you necessarily need to upgrade from your S22 Plus. If you have an older phone than that, I will definitely go ahead and let you know, like, it's time, bro. This will be a step up. But if you have the S22 or later, I think if you're looking for an upgrade because maybe you're having battery or storage issues like me, check out OnePlus. Listen, you're already not in the Apple ecosystem. You're already in Android. And all those things that Samsung does, like Samsung Pass and stuff, a lot of that you can do the same thing with Google, like Google Pass and all. You know what I mean? Like, they still use Google stuff. So you can have Google stuff on your other phones, transfer your data, and like, yeah, it's annoying putting your passwords in a new phone and all that shit. But like after a week, you just use a different thing instead of Samsung Pass. You use like Google Pass. Now you have a phone that charges faster, that has an alert slider, that, you know, comes more bang for your buck, bro. So I'm happy with my phone. I'm glad I got it. I got like this one that it's called Black Blue or Blue Black or something like that, but it's actually like just like a charcoal silver color. Looks dope. But yeah, man, I don't know. I think if you're on the fence about it and you're not like a Samsung diehard fan, go ahead and get you know, check out OnePlus. Check out Pixel. Because I think there's other options that are trying to do more with their phones than Samsung is. Samsung is getting complacent. That's my opinion. All right, so thank you for watching the most trash show on YouTube. That was my Samsung normal guy comparison rant, I guess you would say. But I don't hate this phone. I like this phone. I love this phone. It looks great. I just think that it's not what it's all cracked up to be. You know what I mean? It's not as mind-blowing as I thought it was going to be. So, yeah, most trash show on YouTube. Garage users, like, comment, subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your homies. Talk to me in the comments. I talk back. And we are out of this bitch.